Hey there, Prog Noggins. Dave here. Thank you for joining me here on Bleeding Edge. I had the plan to come out with a highlight album video every month. I had to put the first 3 months of the year together because, well, I was too slow. I'm a little better this time. I'm still too slow. But in my defense, I've actually done a lot of traveling lately, so I'm a little slower than normal. We're about halfway through May, and I'm now getting around to April. But April, admittedly, was a busy month, too. And I delayed things a little bit to make sure I got a good listen to as much as I could. I wanted to make sure that I knew as much as possible about what was out so I could give you my best and truest album recommendations. So let's launch into it. I'm going to start off with the notables. Now, these are not my highlights, but they're albums that I felt deserved a little bit of extra attention because they really grabbed my attention. Starting off, Brass Camel with their self-titled third album, which is interesting because I think the first album was Brass, second was Camel, this one's Brass Camel. They're putting about as much effort into their album naming as Peter Gabriel with a gun to his head, so I guess that's all right. I don't mind even a little bit. Their own website actually describes them as deep pocket funk, face-melting prog, and massive harmony art rock. Who am I to argue with that? I don't even know if I could have written that. I don't even know if I can repeat it without having the words in front of me. If all those things sound fun to you, then this one won't disappoint. It's a really kind of, I want to say groovy. I don't use the word very often, but it's a very groovy, kind of funky, proggy album. And it's not like much else that you hear out there. So I really enjoyed that. So that's a very cool, notable one. Next, we have a band that sort of came out of nowhere for me, but I noted they were in existence, Witch Ripper, which is a hard one for me to say without thinking a moment. So every time I say the name, you're probably going to see me pause because otherwise I'm going to trip up all over it. Witch Ripper. This is a brutal punch of early Mastodon with a little extra sludge thrown in with balanced and ethereal melodic passages. Cool stuff, really. Very ominous and very dreamy all at the same time. And I'm just left wondering, where have these guys been hiding? Because this is not their first album, but it's some really cool stuff. And it sort of strikes that balance between early and modern Mastodon. So I really dig it that way. And then finally, probably just about the most unusual one of the month, the Protomen, Act 3, The City Made Us. This City Made Us. I want to make sure I enunciate because I ran that together. This one is fascinating. Now, I understand these guys have had basically a long-running conceptual story going on throughout a lot of their albums, and this is a bit delayed since Act 2, oftentimes just called Act 3, as I understand it, but they've got this big grand story thing going on here. Revolution and science fiction and tyrants in the galaxy and stuff like that. I haven't even picked up on all of exactly what it is because I haven't had that much time to absorb all of it. This is my first encounter with them. And basically, I kind of want to sum it up. The symphonic compositional melodicism of the Alan Parsons Project, the production elements of the Planet P Project, there's one from out of the blue, the vocal restraint and subtleties of a Meatloaf album. Yeah, a little bit overwrought at times, and it's a little of an acquired taste, I guess, because the vocals are singing to the rafters. The emotion and energy is there, maybe even a little over the top at times, but nonetheless, really cool and intriguing stuff. And I'm now curious about this grand story they've been working on. It's shades of Coheed and Cambria there when you think about the multi-album storytelling and that big, grand conceptual approach to their music. And this is a band that, whether you noticed it or not, is growing a very strong cult following. As a matter of fact, if I understand correctly, it was the most pre-ordered album of 2025. Absorb that for a moment. If you've not heard of these guys, I am now telling you there's a band you've never heard of that was actually tops in pre-orders for 2025. Amazing stuff. And they came out very strong out of the gate, and yet not that many people actually seem to know about them. So what are you going to do? Anyway, those are my 3 notable albums. Now, a little diversion simply because the opportunity presented itself. 3 notable instrumental albums. Don't know what was going on, but apparently April was a strong month for prog instrumental albums to come out, and you got some pretty juicy ones going on here. First and foremost, Long Distance Calling, The Phantom Void. This is cinematic, metal-tinged rock for a movie soundtrack. It's got tonal shifts featuring contemplative, quiet passages and driven, purposeful rock and car chase momentum metal, basically. It's got all the moods, it's got all the flavors, and it's got a lot of cool stuff going on there, and it really feels like it takes you on a journey. Next, we have a band that had been recommended to me by the one and only Paul Zotter of the Prog Council and the Progressive Palaver a couple of years ago, really, and I had not gotten around to checking them out because they kept floating in the back of my brain, and then I'd forget about them, and then I'd think about them later and go, oh, I should check these guys out. I'm talking about Aziola Cry and the new album Dysphoria Ritual. Now, this one surprised me because Paul is a guy I overall think of as really being that kind of in-the-pocket, traditional prog dude. He's not big on metal stuff, and he likes it very melodic. And at the same time, I think maybe I have misinterpreted his range of tastes. So in this one, you got this dark fuzzbox jazz fusion with these chaotic rhythms, and there's these challenging time signature pivots, and all of it is this got this gritty, ominous feel to it. It is totally not what I expected. There's melodic passages, but at the same time, there's this stuff that's very kind of chaotic feeling, very choppy, and not what I expected from a recommendation from Paul. Just saying. So this is pretty cool stuff, and it feels very dark, very gritty. Maybe I'm influenced by the album cover, but I don't know. I came away thinking, this is prog rock instrumentals for your next seance or Ouija board session. And you can use it however you want. It's not even a suggestion, just a thought. And then finally, probably the one that most of us prog heads know was coming out, and probably the one that got the most attention, of course, my favorite, the ever amazing Plini with The Unnameable Desire. Now, as you might expect from Plini, it's melodic, it's jubilant, it's aggressive in just the right measure, and how it evokes the energy of Satriani and animals as leaders in equal measure. That's going to catch your attention if you are into the heavy instrumental stuff, because those are two top ones. He could absolutely hold his own with either or both of those at the same time, probably, because he's just doing so much. And it's such a cool album. This one is, for me, this is your surfing alien with just a little bit more attitude. So it's very, very enjoyable stuff. All right, now getting to the main point of the video, which would be the April highlights. And I've got two of them. And there's a method to that. There's always a method to my madness. And the madness, of course, is always present. But bear with me if you will. And we start off with highlight number 1. Yes, that was Voidchaser. The new album, Interstellar 1, is out, and my first thought in doing this and putting this on here, I know, some of you may cry foul. Yes, I admit, I'm a little bit chummy with GC Voidchaser, and we've been doing some work together in supporting Progstorm. Understood if you have some doubts, and maybe you want to question my objectivity here, but before you do, hear me out. And listen to the album, at least. It's a hefty chunk of prog metal sci-fi storytelling with some serious melodic punch, nicely balanced with some metal violence. Yes, I said violence. By their own account, these guys are largely influenced by Dream Theater and Devin Townsend and similar prog metal giants. And that totally tracks without the band ever really, I think, making that obvious. Yeah, there might be a couple moments here and there where maybe my brain went to Dream Theater, but those are vastly overshadowed and eclipsed by the originality of the rest of the album. This is some great stuff here. They come at you hard, but they keep things accessible and mostly melodic. The musical chops are top shelf. Plain and simple, top shelf, but they don't overwhelm you with the virtuosity. Yeah, they come at you hard. Yeah, it's a bit of a wall of sound. But if you can take it, it's rewarding and it's very enjoyable. And the range of styles and compositional techniques and approaches, tonal shifts and things like that are equally impressive. Really cool stuff. These guys can do just about anything, it seems, and they put it all out there in this album. And they've been brewing for a while, so this is almost like their big debut. This is them getting some attention. Now, all right, I will admit, and I've read some other reviews of the album, there's some attention they're also getting that I don't know is deserved. I don't know, but it's come up enough times that I'm going to address it because the trend is there. And that is people basically criticizing the mix of the album and feeling that it's too wall of sound and too, I don't know. It's possible I have a tin ear. I don't know. I've got this permanent little tone buzzing in my ear. I heard the technical term for that is tinnitus or tinnitus, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Yeah, but maybe I just have a tin ear. Maybe my listening equipment's not good enough to bring out the finer points, but I'm not hearing it. I don't know what the exact problem is. For me, my brain is wired to pick up a lot of things at once, and I hear a lot of things at once. So maybe the approach and the density of the music for some is off-putting, but it's not for me. I don't know. But I'm not hearing the complaint. I actually, from reading that a couple times, started listening for it, and I'm still going. I'm not quite sure what people are bitching about. But let's be honest, sometimes critics just like to bitch, and they like to find things to complain about. I know. I did that for a year, and I can admit that at times I felt like I was looking for things to bitch about. It's an odd little factoid. It's an odd little facet of being a critic of any type. Maybe that's why Sting hates them. I don't know. I'm just saying. Go listen to the album. And you can tell me to my face in the comment section whether you think my objectivity is lacking in this one. Now, we're getting to highlight number 2. This one, it's kind of one of the biggest ones of the year, I'd say. Every shadow I outlast and every pain I win that past, it's over. Yes, Einar Solberg, he of Leprous, their vocalist. Vox Occulta is the album. I don't know how else to say it. Einar came up to the plate, swung for the fences, absolutely smashed it. Absolutely. As much as his first solo album, 16, was a quiet, personal affair, this one is big, bombastic, and grand in all the best ways, really, is what it comes down to. The inclusion of the Norwegian radio orchestra on most of the tracks in one way or another, if not all of them, I wasn't really keeping track because it just absorbing it all, but it just makes this all seem like you should be listening with opera glasses. Yeah, I know. I know. Let me have my metaphor, damn it. I'm going with that. You should be in a tux. You should be in a balcony. You should be hearing it there. This is big stuff. It really is. It has all the feel of the best symphonic metal, but with more commitment to that symphonic component. And yet still not really losing the metal aggression and attitude, even when the guitars aren't present. He made the orchestra be a metal band in many ways. And yet at the same time, it's still orchestral. Balancing it in the way that the music is written is a nice achievement there. I'm not exactly sure how it all came about and all this stuff. I didn't get to find that out, but I'm pretty impressed with the job. Yeah, there are still these soulful parts. Even one point, his singing and hitting the falsettos and the clean vibratos and all that put me in mind of Jeff Buckley. So that's the level we're talking about. I don't think that should be that much of a surprise that Einar can stand up there with the best vocalists. And he brings every tool in his arsenal to this affair, exploring the full range of his cleans, lower tones that I'm used to hearing him, the higher ones, which we know he's really, really good at, and yet still bringing the harshes in select passages in nice little doses in just the right places, I think. He holds nothing back. He puts it all out there. He shows you exactly what he's capable of doing. And as far as, I guess, virtuosity goes, like, And I'm probably going to get some shit for saying something like this, or maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But I would say, if you look at a band like Dream Theater, where everybody's top-notch virtuoso, he would be the vocalist. That's how good he is. That's the level he's playing on. He is a Petrucci. He is a Mayung. He is a Portnoy. And I love James Labrie, and I've loved his vocals over the years. Einar is playing on another level. That's all it is to it. So hopefully nobody's offended by that. And if you are, I don't know, prove me wrong. This is a bold, brave statement and is oozing with confidence. He just brought it all here, and he's not holding anything back. And it's clear in the final product. Find a concert hall in which to listen to it. I kid you not. All right, so there are my highlight albums for April, my co-highlights, along with some other smattering of things that I found interesting that I thought I'd share. I'm curious what you all think. Did I miss something even better than the ones I chose? Are those of you displeased somewhere out there? Are there other ones out there displeased with the mix of the Voidchaser album? Somebody else want to bring that to the table or take my side and say, what are you complaining about? Do you think Einar went too over the top? Did he go too far with this compared to what you might have expected from him? Did I piss you off by throwing shade at Meatloaf? Ha. Anyway, whatever you got to say, leave a comment, hit the like or don't. Your call. Think about subscribing if you don't mind. Follow along. We got fun stuff coming up the rest of the year. Hell, you know what? Maybe even take a moment, browse the Bleeding Edge shop. See if there's anything you like. You know, we got this cool little stuff going on. In the meantime, hang loose, never fear to deviate from the norm, and as always, keep it private.